No, another item that we're going to save some money on this year, not a huge sum, of course, but every dollar counts, is as an example, when I go down to Las Vegas or somewhere on city business, we no longer use our own vehicles.
Really?
Yes, we're using city vehicles. It's far less expensive, and it's such a simple process because the city has nice cars.
Yeah.
It isn't a matter of getting a clunk that you don't know if you're going to get where you're going in. So we drop our car off. We arrange the day ahead of time or a week ahead of time, whatever the case may be, to get keys to a city vehicle. You park your car, you get in the city vehicle, you do your business. All you've cost the city is gasoline, and the city fills up their own tanks.
Wow.
In other words, instead of filing a $94, $95, which is the round trip Vegas normal jaunt, we file nothing, and it saves money.
Wow. Well, that's great.
And personally, I look at it even further. If I have a meeting in Las Vegas at 8:30 in the morning, which is about the normal time for a meeting, I don't file for breakfast. I don't want my $7. I eat my breakfast at home before I leave.
Yeah.
And I finish my meeting at 11:30. I eat a late lunch at home rather than file for a lunch. And, you know, if you take that across the board times 5 council members, and I think most of them are following that, we are saving money.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a little bit at a time, but it's cumulative.
It's 50 here, it's 100 there, and it goes on and on and on.
Well, not to mention the example that it sets for other people.
Yeah, and again, it's and in fact, I'd rather take a city vehicle. It saves the wear and tear on my car.
Yeah.
And so you don't get the extra $50 or whatever. That's just fine. It isn't necessary.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's another way we're just saving a little here and there.
Well, I think a lot of people are going to thank you guys for doing that. You know, just if nothing else, for setting the example.
It's very important, and so this is how we do that. Other cost saving, I haven't gotten in that deep right now to see where else we can save funds right now. But I know that the mayor is looking at every possible solution. So we do save a little more money here, a little more money there. And perhaps at the end of the year we'll look better yet.
Good. All right. Well, obviously everyone wants to know what you think about the proposed indoor sports complex. Give us your thoughts about that particular facility. Your thoughts about continued partnership with NCS. And what about a little bit more quantitative analysis on how a project like the indoor sports complex could generate more economic activity for the businesses and the people in the city of Mesquite?
Well, to start with, I'm not opposed to a facility.
Okay.
However, I am not in favor of a facility until it has been researched to the nth degree. And that's to run the numbers over and over, to evaluate, to bid for a facility. I think right now, and it's public knowledge, NCS have basically told the city that, you know, they'll give us some money towards this, and it won't be $1 million because about $200,000 has already been spent in designing this amphitheater, which I was very opposed to.
Okay.
For a number of reasons that I don't need to get into at this point, because that's, I think, a dead issue.
Okay.
The sports arena, we were basically, or complex, whatever you want to be told, we were basically told that we'd best get it quick, because if we don't buy it, somebody else will. And we have a timeline on it. And I believe that is, again, public knowledge, so I'm not too concerned about giving away any details. And my first thought about that, and I drew the analogy and I mentioned it to a number of people, it's like going to the car dealer and you want that particular car and they tell you, well, you know, we're closing in about 10 minutes and if you don't buy it today, the deal won't be here tomorrow. That's a good time to walk away from the deal. And then you can reassess it on your own, and usually the deal is there the next day anyway.
Right.
But, and that's only a car. Here we're talking about millions of dollars of public money. And before I would spend a dime of public money, I'm going to analyze what I'm doing carefully. So as the project sits right now, I'd say I'm against the project. Now, Could I be in favor of the project? Quite possibly.
Okay.
But I think we put the cart before the horse. They're saying, okay, there's a 215 by 400 by 72 foot structure available. Is that what we really want? Is that what we really need? I'm not sure. We talked about the other day about the need to go out to bid, and I understand
Yes.
the city now is going, of course, it's going to have to go that direction, I think. Usually when you go out to bid, you draw up all your specifications in advance,
Yes.
and you analyze what you want.
Yes.
And I haven't seen that yet.
Okay.
I've heard conversation about, well, we could have it with pull-out bleachers. We could have this, we could have that. I want to see everything on paper, and I want to
Okay.
see how the numbers add up. There'll be some discussion at this coming meeting about it, at the council meeting. I submitted a list of concerns, of which have all been published, interestingly, in this week's agenda. For whatever reason, they must, either I'm the only one who did it, because I have a lot of concerns, and a lot of questions, and a lot of them have been answered, not to my satisfaction in most cases, but they've been answered nonetheless.
Yeah.
But I want to analyze every one of those. We talk about, and it was mentioned last night, about a pro forma
Right.
set of numbers, and a pro forma set of numbers is just an educated guess.
Yeah.
And I don't like educated guesses. I want to know a lot more.
Okay.
Now, back to the issue of, can it benefit Mesquite? Very probably. But it won't benefit Mesquite if the money going out is far more than the money coming in, because the city will be on the hook.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. And this has happened in many communities. It's not the first place an athletic stadium or that has been constructed, and then the city ends up paying for most of it on an ongoing basis.
Right.
So I'm leery about that at this point. And if they can
Okay.
convince me otherwise, that's fine.
Okay.
Will it help businesses in Mesquite? I don't know. It'll help casinos. It'll help hotels. That's good.
Yes.
There's trickle down. If the casinos are jammed and the hotels are jammed, will they hire back employees? I would gather they would.
Right.
But across the wide spectrum of businesses, I don't know yet.
Okay.
And again, and the mayor did talk about the problem we have in the summers here. It's
Yeah.
dead.
He mentioned
But-
that at his town
right.
hall meeting.
And my question will still be, will 2 or 2.5 months worth of increased business help the city for the remaining 9 to 9.5 months of the year?
Well, that's a great point.
Yeah, see, and I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Because we can't have back to where we have summer employment's booming, and then all of a sudden nobody's working in the fall because
Yeah.
it isn't necessary any longer. We can play outdoors, whatever the case may be.
Right.
That's one of my biggest concerns for Mesquite, is long-range employment opportunities for people. Not summer add-ons, not the Christmas holiday add-ons, but year-round meaningful employment. And I did ask the question about how many new jobs this would actually, the stadium itself, create, and the answer was 0. There'll be no new jobs. And
From the
answer-
stadium itself.
From the stadium itself.
Okay.
And I would hope that the outlay of that much money would actually create positions that would be self-sufficient jobs, and the answer was 0. The other big concern I had, I asked about how do we maintain, even though it's a tent of sorts, with turf, how do we maintain 83 or 86,000 square feet of facility? And of course there you got the surrounding areas, you got your parking lots, you
Yeah.
got this, that, and the other. And the response that was published is that you could do it with part-time employees that we have. But our part-time employees right now, the few that the city has, are stressed to the max.
Yeah,
They
if they're
picked up-
already occupied.
They've picked up the work of a lot of full-time people that aren't with us any longer.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, well, that's just one more burden on the employees we have. So I don't know. To me, there's a huge number of questions that need to be fulfilled. And one of my questions, and it wasn't answered to my satisfaction, is that if we spend anywhere from, and the numbers that'll come out at the council meeting this week are from $3 million to $5 million on this facility, is that the best use of that money?
Yeah.
Has that been carefully thought out? Is there a better way to utilize RDA monies to better the businesses in Mesquite?
I
don't
think
know.
a lot of people are asking that question also.
Yeah, to me, it hasn't been researched out far enough. There very well might be better ways of utilizing that money.
Uh-huh.
Do I have the answers to it right now? No. Am I looking? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, which was another mention last night about, I think the question had to do with the downtown. If you call it a downtown. I don't call the corridor downtown because Mesquite is spread out.
Yeah.
And there's no concentrated traditional downtown.
Right.
Which is okay. Could we ever build one? Probably not, because of the facility being on the old 91. It won't work. But what could we do with that RDA money in the RDA zones in the downtown? I don't know. It has to be looked at very carefully. But if we spend it on this, we're not going to have a lot of RDA monies left.
Exactly.
And I don't see a future of money coming in. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have to think very, very carefully where that money goes. I don't want to see a vacant lot on Mesquite Boulevard that has zero value. And I'm candid, the lot that was projected to be a library lot. Somebody said to me, well, we could sell it as a city. And I said, to sell something, you need a buyer.
Right.
And how do you set a price when there are no buyers? And
Yeah.
there's no interest.
Yeah.
So we got to be very careful. It's the same thing, we spent a lot of money on a police station. It's a state-of-the-art, beautiful facility.
Yeah.
It'll serve Mesquite for many, many years to come. But was it the best use of the money at the time? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that I consider, because once we spend it, it's spent.
It's gone.
Yeah, we can't return it to the manufacturer and say we don't like it after 90 days.
Yeah, there's no oops clause in there.
There's no oops, no. If it doesn't do what we thought it was going to do, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
And again, that's why I'm not stepping 2 feet in with a decision on my part until I've got every single answer that I want.
Okay.